Howdy folks, Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. This is going to be a story time video type of a thing where we're going to talk about I'm going to give you the updates on the D&D campaign and also the Pathfinder campaign that I'm in. If you've been following along, I've kind of been giving updates as those campaigns have been going along. You're going to see, I filmed some of this yesterday to talk about what happened in the D&D campaign, and then I'm filming, this morning I filmed what happened in the Pathfinder group. I'm wearing a different shirt and everything, so the continuity is, it's 2 days worth of content that I'm going to edit together, so you'll get it as you watch, but just, that's why you're going to see me in different shirts and shit like that. So, in any case, without further ado, let's go. So I'll do a quick recap for those that may have not have followed my previous discussions about our D&D group. So 3.5, we're playing 3.5 D&D. We're all 9th or 10th level. So we're in this dwarven fortress that had been abandoned for hundreds of years, and I'm a dwarf. I'm the only dwarf in the party, and I've decided that while we're in here, that I'm going to try and retake the throne, because there is a throne in here, and I've already tried once. I sat on it, and a bunch of golems animated, kind of an auto response thing that was triggered, and they didn't recognize me as the king because they tried to kill us all. So we're continuing through this dungeon and everything, and last night we did not have our only healer, which is a druid. We did not have her with us because the player had to work late last night, so she was coming later. So, but we start at our regular time, and we decide, oh, we can, we'll do a couple of, we'll explore some more and see how we do and so forth, which was probably a stupid idea because we didn't have a healer. So, needless to say, when we had ended the previous session, we had just opened some doors, and we saw some humanoids in the room, and that's where we had to stop. And he said, we'll stop right there from the previous session. So this one, that's where we start up. And of course, now we don't have our healer. And the rule for this DM's rule is if the player is not there to play their character is not there. So it's not like somebody else can play two characters and so forth. So basically, you just do without until that player shows up. So once again, it was probably a stupid idea on our part. So we enter and get ambushed, and I'm in the front. I'm the barbarian. Got a fighter who is, at this point in this campaign, because we've been adventuring so long, we are probably as close to best friends as there can be for two characters, because we've been adventuring together for months now, in game time, and so we're standing there. The DM rolls two, he gets initiative because it's a surprise round or whatever, and we're flat-footed, and so he rolls 2 confirmed criticals. So I'm stunned. Luckily, I didn't. My crit wasn't too bad. I get stunned for like 2 rounds, and I get bleed damage plus regular damage, etc., etc. But I can't do shit for 2 rounds. My character's best friend is next to him, the fighter, who normally doesn't get hit very hard because he's got a very high AC, but he gets critted, and he gets critted. He gets whatever the percentiles were. It basically was a head wound where the head, the skull is cut open, and there is brain damage, and he goes down, and without some type of aid, he's going to die within 6 rounds. And even then, he will be unconscious for 24 hours. So he is out of the fight completely. No, period. Out of the fight. We don't have a healer. I'm stunned for 2 rounds. Now, if you've heard me talk before, we have a crazy-ass wizard in our party. And he has this wand that the DM created called the Kawoosh wand. And that's his favorite thing. And it's partially because the wand itself is sentient. And the wand is evil. And it keeps antagonizing the wizard to, or I should say, it keeps instigating the wizard to antagonize the rest of us in the party. He doesn't do it during combat, but you'll see, I'm getting to it. So anyway, the wizard, he pretty soon is in hand-to-hand combat, which we all know for a squishy is not a good thing. And we have one other fighter, and they manage to, everybody takes damage. We've got our one guy down, out. I'm down 2 rounds. They manage to hold off everybody else and take out quite a number of them. I come out of my stun, and there's only one bad guy left, and he's right in front of me. I'm a barbarian. Chaotic barbarian. I see my best friend there dying, as far as I can tell, because his freaking brains are, out of his head. And of course, I instantly go into a rage, and I'm going to kill this thing. The other fighter and the wizard jump and say, no, we need him for information. And they're able to, convince me not to splatter the shit out of this thing. It's a deep gnome type of a creature. And against everything within my character's being, I agree not to kill this thing. And then I instantly go to my buddy's aid, stabilize him, everything else. The other fighter at some point was able to pull him away and give him a health potion, which helped him too. So I go over to him. So now, when I get over to my buddy, I realize how bad he is and everything else like that. I get even angrier because I'm thinking this thing that's left, this creature that's left, is responsible for this. And I go over and I start choking him. And they stop me again. So, we end up, I take that back. We end up, the choking part was later. We end up getting out of the dungeon to try and, we retreat to try and recuperate and everything and stabilize him. And the wizard, the crazy ass wizard, is able to teleport people. So we get back, and at some point I get into it with the creature, and he's convinced the crazy ass wizard that they're now friends or whatever. And I look over to him and I say, because I'm just pissed. My character's just pissed, and I say, I'm going to kill you. To this little deep gnome thing or whatever. And he starts talking shit to me. Now this is the DM, of course, playing that character. And I explain, look, you're responsible. My buddy's about dead. I forgot. I've missed a whole... Wait, I take it back. I missed a whole... See, this is why I had to do this now. Because I had forgotten a whole thing that happened. My character died. So in that room, after they convinced me not to kill this little shit, there is a tapestry in the room. And they had checked the room, but they hadn't looked behind the tapestry. I go to the tapestry and I go, well, did you look behind it? And I look behind it, and there is a glyph of death on it. And if you fail your saving throw, you die. I died. I failed my saving throw. I drop dead. So I've already tried. I was going to kill this thing. They stopped me. Then I did choke him. I was going to kill him again. They stopped me again. Then I look at the glyph. I die. I get teleported by the wizard to the nearby town where the clerics. It costs us like 5,000 gold to get me raise dead on me. I lose a level. We teleport back, and that's when we're in the camp. And I see that little shit again, and I say, I'm going to kill you. And he starts talking shit to me again, and I say, look, I freaking died. Luckily, thanks to the healers, I was able to be brought back, but I'm weakened. My best friend is over here, still unconscious. He could die, and you're responsible. And then the little creature says, and this was it, he says, well, that's because you're all a bunch of pussies. So my dwarf rages and goes after him. The crazy-ass wizard jumps in front of him to try and stop me. I'm having none of it. Full-on power punch, and I'm raging, and I crit. And I knock our wizard unconscious and get him out of my way. I continue. I chase this little... I have boots of striding and springing. I chase this little bastard down, and with one cleave, he's liquefied. Dead. Done. So, I go back, and of course, the wizard comes to, and he's like, he was my friend. I go, look, he wasn't your friend. And I'm role-playing, I'm like, he wasn't your friend. We're your friends. He was the enemy. And so at some point, the wizard once again gets that goddamn storm giant strength. Whatever it is that he does. I'm speaking as my character. I don't know what's causing it, and I don't even know he has it. And he says, I want to arm wrestle you again. And that, going back to the previous, if you guys ever watched that, you know that I did not, when I arm wrestled him before, I have a 20 strength as a dwarf. He had storm giant strength, and of course he beat me. And then I tried to grapple him because I was pissed, and he pinned me, and I was furious, but I didn't know he had storm giant strength. Well, now he's got it again. I still don't know this. I keep missing my wisdom checks to see if I catch on, So luckily, he rolls a 1, and I roll a natural 20. I crit him again, and I am, even with his storm giant strength, because I crit, and he fumbled, I'm able to pin him in the arm wrestle. And then he wants to go double or nothing, or whatever. And I'm like, no, you're defeated. I don't, and I'm still somewhat suspicious as to why he was so. It was almost impossible for me to, even though and I'm like, why is he so strong? But I failed my wisdom check, so I still didn't know, And so, bottom line is, then the other fighter who's been out for 24 hours, he finally comes around, and the wizard starts antagonizing him because the wand, we don't know it, but the wand is telling him, And so the wand tells the wizard to go over to this fighter who just woke up and has got to have the worst headache. In his head is open. I mean, he's got an open head wound, but he's been stabilized. He's been healed. He's got hit points and everything, but he still, has to recover. And so the wand convinces this little wizard, this little crazy ass wizard, to go over and poke him in the fucking head. And of course, the fighter, what the hell is going on? And he is going to kill him. And now, I never tried to kill the wizard. I always just wanted to incapacitate him and teach him a lesson and shut him up and everything else. But he's going to kill him. He has an item that will do it if the wizard fails his saving throw. And, everybody kind of says, no, don't kill him, because that's against his alignment, everything, that would be outright murder, one of your party members. And so we convince him not to. And then, at some point, the wand convinces the wizard to antagonize the other fighter. And of course, this fighter, he's been taking all this in, and he's finally had enough, and he decides he's going to kill him, and he goes after him, and the wizard, in self-defense, feeble-minds him. Crazy-ass night. And so, the wizard refuses to teleport him, the feeble-minded one, back to get him fixed, and we don't have the healer there. So, the feeble-mind fighter, he dies. He ends up dying. And he ends up rolling a new character and everything. But, that's how that night went. It was mostly role-playing. We only had one combat at the very beginning, and the rest of it was role-playing. The rest of it was just how raw emotions would be in after a battle, and people are hurt, people have died, people have had to been resurrected, and you've got this, and it's a brilliant mechanic that the DM has done with this wand, because the bond between this wand and this wizard is unbreakable. I mean, and we don't know that this wand is sentient and is talking to him telepathically or whatever, and antagonizing the rest of us. It's going to get him killed. It's going to get the wizard killed. It's just a matter of time, and it'll be at my hand more than like. Well, I don't know. The other fighter was going to completely murder him, and we stopped that. But I mean, as a barbarian, I'm only going to be pushed so far. Up to this point, I've just basically tried to incapacitate him and everything, but at some point, the shit's going to hit the fan, and it almost did last night. That was insane. So anyway, I wanted to get this on camera. I'm sorry about the continuity there. I had to remember. See, that's why I had to do it quickly while it's still all fresh in my memory. But yeah, so yeah, you had one brain damage, almost dead, on the brink of death. I actually died, had to be resurrected. Another party member, feeble-minded, and then died, had to roll a new character. Yeah. Almost a TPK from role-playing. So, anyway, that's it, guys. If I edit this in with some other stuff, that I may have a different shirt on or whatever, so we'll have to see. But if not, catch you on the flip side. Okay, so on the Pathfinder campaign, on that front, we played last night, and as a quick recap, we are in a homebrew world where magic is dying. The art of magic is dying as a whole. And there is this mysterious fog that is around the entire continent that no one really understands if that has anything to do with magic dying or why its presence is there. And we are trying to unravel all of this mystery. And as part of this, we went to a tomb of a person called the Collector, in search of some stones, some magic stones that we believe have that will provide clues as to unravel these mysteries. So we starting this session, we were already in the tomb. We had already defeated the Collector, and as I told last time, that crazy cat familiar that he had that almost wiped us out. And so we finish up the tomb. There was a very youthful red dragon in there, a very small youthful red dragon that we had to defeat, which we did. And so we make it out of there, and it was like a scene out of Indiana Jones. If you remember, whenever Indy would come out sometimes with an artifact or a relic or whatever, his rival Belloc would be there waiting for him to snatch the treasure from him, basically letting Indy do all the hard work and then just taking it by force. And that's basically what happened to us last night. We come out, we were expecting it. However, we were not anticipating the show of force that there was. So we come out, and there's a guy, of course, doing the classic, one of those numbers, basically saying, "Hey, you did a good job, thanks, now give me that shit," And of course, there was 20 archers, 10 on both sides of us, with their bows trained at us, and it became very apparent that we were not going to be able to get out of there with our treasure. So he was demanding to see what was in our bag. We had a bag of holding, and he could see that, and he wanted to see what was in it, and we didn't want to show him. And so we have one of our characters is half Ifriti, a fire character, and he's half a 3D, half whatever, but he has the ability to produce flame. And so he grabs a bag and he just basically puts his hand under it and creates a flame and says, I will burn this, or whatever. And he wasn't really going to burn it, but one of the Happy Trigger archers decided to shoot at him, and it hit his hand, and it startled him, and of course the bag went up in flames. Basically at that point the guy's like, well, get out of here, because the stuff he wanted was destroyed, and he didn't really want to kill us, so he just let us go. But of course we lost. There was a lot of stuff in that bag of holding, so it was very bittersweet. We survived, but we lost a lot of stuff. There was a particularly powerful magic item in there that we found out after the fact that they got destroyed. So I just wanted to add. I just figured out that was the one little anecdotal event that happened, in the Pathfinder group that I wanted to share with you guys, was that it was very reminiscent of a Indiana Jones, movie where we come out of there and we basically did all the work. Unfortunately, this guy didn't really get the stuff he wanted, so it was bittersweet. So anyway, that was the update on the Pathfinder campaign. We are still continuing to try and figure out what the hell is going on with magic and the fog and all this, and I will continue as I do these. I'll keep updating you guys. So that's it. We'll catch you on the flip side.